Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a full brake overhaul on Boris, installing lots of new parts and also doing a 1,000-mile first impressions at the end of the video as well. So I hope you enjoy this one. So good morning, I'm here at Mike Harding Land Rovers, which is just down from Brookwells, and I'm going to be doing a brake overhaul today. I just turned up with Boris, and in the back I've got a big box of all the parts you need to do. Just spoke to Joe, going to get started in about 40 minutes. But before then I thought I'd just show you through the box of bits I've got and also why I'm going to be doing it. So I did my brakes a few years ago, but I only did the discs and pads, and on Boris's second MOT about 4 years ago, an advisory of brake bias, so the calipers were sort of seizing on one side. With that in mind, recently I've got some quite bad warping going on the front discs, screeching, and an MOT advisory for rust on the front vented ones as well. So basically today what I've got here is just sort of an OEM package that I've done with Brookwells. Aaron at Plymouth went through it with me and talked to the guys up here above and decided the best sort of thing we could do, and I've just unboxed a few little things that I'll show you just here. Terra firma, I think they're nickel plated front slotted and drilled discs, which look really nice. It's cool that they're actually plated as well, which means obviously this surface will wear down, but you've got the braking surface, but the rest of it won't corrode, which is really nice. Got some standard ones below that for the back, don't need to go too crazy there. Here I've got a lovely AP rear caliper there. It's nice to see something fresh and brand new. Obviously it's nice to keep things going and refurbished, but I have been there before and it is nice to just go down the new route. While we're there, we've got front calipers as well, all the ancillary little bits like gaskets, the springs and the sort of runners for the pads, Delphi pads there, that's the ones we're going for. And I did have a look, and the guards for all the brakes are quite bad condition, so I've got new galvanized sort of guards for all the brakes as well, which is really nice. Found out the other day, and I'll insert a little video here, the wheel bearings seem to either be loose or gone, and there's a lot of play in them unfortunately, so sort that out while we're there today. Chuck the new brakes on, got some black Terra firma heavy duty flanges to go on as well, so I hope you enjoy this. So here we are, ready to go. Boris is rolling into the garage. We need to get the parts out of the back and get it up on the lift. The chassis is looking a little bit weak, so when it is on the lift, it does twist a little, which is a little bit sketchy. Yeah, you can assess my, I did like a bush mechanic brake line fix in the campsite. See how that looks. This is Joe, a fantastic mechanic at Mike Harding's. I've known him for 4 years, but this will be the first time we've worked on a truck together.
I mean, the inner pad is low. It's powder coating because of the flanges.
At the moment, I bled them again the other day because I did have like a brake line incident. Yeah. But I like now, if you're pushing down hard on the pedal, it like keeps going, creeps. Yeah. And the guy who got my transfer box off saying like the braided ones can they can bulge. Yeah. So it might, you know. Little bit of foreshadowing, that wasn't the problem, it was worse than that, but we do find it later. Changed these track rods the other day, and as you can see they're still loose, so that's definitely not going to be helping. Maybe we're going to do tracking afterwards, maybe?
Yes, definitely. Definitely now.
Definitely. These ones are definitely looking tired and old, as you can see there, and as Joe was removing the brake lines, they were all corroded, stuck up and broke as they came off.
Your inner pads are
oh yeah, look at the difference.
Non-existent.
And what do you think that's because these are seizing out a bit?
Yeah,
do you
so
think?
you see all the outer dust seal on this one?
Yeah. Oh,
it's stuck, so all the crud can actually get into the piston.
Yeah. So obviously I refurbed them like a few years ago, but you know, there's only so much you can do, isn't there? As you can see, the inside of the flange cap is looking very messy, but Joe has a tip for this. And as we took the flanges off, it means we can get to the wheel bearings and take the whole assembly off onto the floor and take a look at the new brakes next to the old corroded ones. I do understand it's not all about looks, but it is nice and satisfying getting some new shiny products, and it is more meaningful that they're going to work really well and Boris is going to stop nicely. Once we had got the hub and disc assembly off, Joe diagnosed that these were a bit crusty, so we're going to get new stubs and seals to go on there as well. So then everything's going well. I'm just going to go over to Brookwells, which is like 50 metres down here. As Joe said, the stub axles on the front are looking quite grooved, and I've noticed that before, so that's why we've been changing like hub seals and stuff like that. I thought I'd just go and grab a couple of those in the assembly. Some one-shot grease, and also I've got some black Terra Firma heavy-duty flanges over here as well, so I'll go and grab those and see how we go. There you go. Look at that. Lovely jubbly.
So a wheel bearing you can generally tell once you've got that outer cap off.
Yeah, yeah.
If it has gone, if there's no grease in there and it's all just hard bits of bald grease, you know the bearing's pretty shot, because you can't really grease that.
I see, but it's looking all right.
It's fully greased. It'll just be the fact that you just need to be readjusted.
Yeah.
Emery cloth around there.
Oh yeah, just cleaned it up a little
just
bit.
cleans it up and just make sure you.
And then now you can do. Oh, that's nice. And it might come off when you need it to next time. Well, hopefully it lasts a little bit longer this time, but you know. And here we are, starting to put the new bits and pieces on. The galvanised brake disc guard there, that should last longer than the old one, and the new stub axle all assembled up and ready to go. Next up, it's time to check the wheel bearings with the handy parts washer. What you can do is wash all the grease out, inspect the bearings for actual wear and rust. If they're fine, ready to go, you can grease them back up and they can live another day. Thankfully, Joe saw that these were looking fine and they are going to go back in. It sounds smooth, doesn't it? Well, I can't even hear it.
Yeah, that's how bearings should be.
Would you hear it more when the wheel's on, or?
No, you shouldn't hear it.
Really? Yeah,
It should just be quiet.
I see. Yeah.
Noisy bearings and happy bearings.
Yeah. I was going to get a full braided line kit for the brakes this time, but unfortunately I hadn't got them ready for this install, and it maybe is going to be something to do in the future. It's nice to see a professional making brake lines after I recently had to do it in a campsite without a bending tool. Thankfully it did go well, but it's nice to see Joe actually making them up properly and knowing that they're done really well. So now that side is complete, we're going to move over to the opposite side. I've chucked the new disc onto the hub. I'm going to crank these bolts down so they're nice and tight. Next up, we're going to check the wheel bearings, and Joe's going to put them in the parts washer. Doesn't seem as good, does it? There's a lot more rust. Is that dirt or is that rust? There is a bit of rust there, isn't it?
That's rust actually on the cage, so, and the inner race as well. It's actually like you can feel that.
So what do you think about this side? Is it worth doing it? We're going to get some
I think
more?
we should replace this side. The other side was nowhere near.
So it's really worth going each corner and seeing
differently.
Definitely front to back as well. So back to Brookwells I went in search of wheel bearings, and thankfully they had some in stock, and I went straight back. When I got back, Joe had already taken the race out and put the new one in, and then I handed him the wheel bearing, and he got to greasing it and ready to chuck into the hub and put the hub back on the vehicle. So you're just using just the normal grease?
Yeah, it's just CP2 grease.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like I pumped a lot in there, but I didn't.
Yeah. That'd be super smooth because they're brand new, aren't they?
Yes. But you'll be able to spin the other side and see that the other side was actually still good.
Yeah, that's true. And you just want, like you said, a little bit of drag, but really smooth, no noise.
Yeah. Because obviously, without the centerpiece like a TD5, you could gun that up until it didn't move. Yeah. But it's not going to do it.
You're going to wear through it really quick, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I've had these Terra Firma heavy-duty flanges for a while now, but they now come in a black finish, so we're going to chuck these on while we're doing it, and they look a hell of a lot better than the old ones that were nickel-plated and then go very grey over time. Check that out. So in our old flanges, you've got a lot of build-up of dirt in there? Yes, that is a recorder in the background.
Yep.
So you've got a sort of a technique using a...
Freelander 2 inlet manifold seals.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So the original ones, we found over time, they were really rubbish.
Yeah.
Rubber.
Yeah.
And they're quite skinny, so they don't actually, when this does up, it doesn't actually lock against this before it actually makes contact.
And then you get that, for example, don't you?
And then obviously, naturally, you're going to get water and stuff down through the threads anyway, because it's the thread. Whereas these, they're actually obviously proper oil resistant because they're in the manifold ones.
Yeah. A lot thicker there as well,
a lot thicker, and they just so happen to be the perfect size.
Yeah. That's a handy little tip to keep in mind for next time and for anyone that's going to put these on. Joe has got a wealth of knowledge of little final tips like that, things that just improve and
uplift vehicles, even to the smallest degree, and he is very happy to share it as well. They are looking a lot better on there. Obviously, they would match with the discs now that the discs are nickel coated, and look at that, he's even using a microfiber cloth to protect the cap. Check that out, they're going to look fantastic with the blindos. Get out of the way, me. Joe's going to put the caliper on there and put the pads in just after as well. A very easy reverse job of taking them off. Now it isn't as corroded, and I'm going to say it once more. I know it doesn't matter what it looks like, but it's nice to know that it stops well and it does look good while doing it. Now we're going to move on to the back and see how we go.
So you can see outside they've got a couple of the sales Defenders out here. Some really nice high quality stuff in stock. Loving that one, but I think this one is my favourite. I've seen this one before. Lovely green paint. Obviously there's a bit of mist on it at the moment, but yeah, they are lovely trucks, and I think of all the Land Rovers, not just the Defenders, this is my favourite truck. This is the series one that they've got for sale. It's a really fantastic little truck, and we took this up to the moors recently, got some drone footage and some photos of it, and it's a really cool piece of kit. So we're just taking a look at the back discs now, and you're basically saying that effectively they are looking pretty good stuff.
I mean, I don't think they've seen much life at all.
Yeah.
They probably had there's probably half worn the set of pads that are in those calipers there.
Yeah.
One tends to have skinnier pads on the back.
Yeah. And most of the force is going through the front, really, so not seeing as much use. Yeah, and they're not looking nearly as even weathered, like rusted or pitted than the fronts anyway.
So I dare say it's probably had a set of backs previous to after the fronts have been.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, happy to.
And then the replacement ones we're going to put on are just standard anyway, so you might as well stick with the drilled and slotted ones to match the front anyway. And again, like, I only like to replace it. It's nice to replace things when things are gone anyway, isn't it? Rather than doing it for the sake of it.
Unnecessary to replace them.
Exactly. And we're going to be doing calipers and pads and a bleed anyway, aren't we? And the wheel bearings feel fine. They've been done quite recently, and stick with that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So that makes the back a hell of a lot more simple than the front, and all we have to do is replace these guards and the calipers and pads as well. Joe's now going to replace the heavy duty flanges and put some RTV to seal them up. It was the rear brake guards that were the worst, so it was really nice to replace them with the Galv ones.
So we've just been bleeding it for a little while and nothing was coming out, and Joe noticed that probably the brake servo, the master cylinder, we've done the servo, was on its way out, so I just went over and picked one of those up as well. So we're just going to chuck that on and hope that that solves a few of our issues.
That meant another trip out to Brookwells for me to fetch an OEM TRW one. Thankfully it came with a reservoir on top, as you can see, and a level sensor built in. Thankfully this fixed our issue. There was then pressure behind the pedal, it bled up nicely, and we were ready to crack on.
Mind you, it just kept going. How's it feeling? How's the brake pedal feeling? All right. Obviously, you didn't feel it before, but
it's hard now.
Yeah.
So you'll get, by the time the pads wear in,
it'd be nice.
new calipers will obviously be quite relaxing.
Yeah.
So sometimes for the first 100 miles or so, you may find something like that.
Yeah, but then it will just all bed in.
You've got 4 brand new calipers.
Yeah.
So you've got 10 pistons that are now fresh.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. That's so good, isn't it? Amazing. So as you can see, I'm back here at North Devon Tyres, and this is where I came to get Boris's wheels and tyres installed about a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, I'd say. Drove home yesterday, feeling really nice. Obviously brakes, as they're wearing in, they're still going to be a bit softer, and Joe said that as we were leaving, that you can feel them bedding in the more and more you do. There was a slight wheel wobble still, but obviously it is better, and steering feels a lot more responsive. I think those wheel bearings not being all tight, loose like that, and being tightened up is much better. So what I'm going to do here is have these wheels balanced, which they weren't currently, and the tracking was out, and that's just been done, so that's really good. Tonight I'm driving up to Wales to Nash Oakland for the Grit camp out, so it'll be a good motorway drive. A few Welsh fast B lanes, B roads, maybe some green laning as well, and see how we go, and I'll be able to give you a verdict on the install and maybe hopefully after the bedding in process, and see how we are.
So now, after doing about 1,000 miles since the install, the brakes have been working really well. Unfortunately, there was quite a big screech that came up and about when we were up in Wales about 300 miles into the bedding in process. This unfortunately didn't go away, and I was recommended by a few people, including Brookwells and Jack, who I was on the trip with, that you go for genuine rear pads, and this can eliminate that. So what I did is chuck them in when I went to BHE Autos with Ben and did my transfer box. Chucked them in there, and unfortunately it still hasn't got rid of it. Even though they are working really well, there is a very loud screech. I think now the next option is to actually change the rear discs, which we should have done. I had them there, took them back to Brookwells, and now I've just bought some back again. They're sitting in the garage and they're ready to go on. I think that is going to eliminate the screech, and hopefully it will work very well. Apart from that, there's still a little bit of a wobble, and it is nothing to do with the brakes or the wheel bearings anymore. It is the hockey sticks and the bushes. So soon I'm going to be changing those. I think the actual hockey sticks have worn themselves, and the bushes aren't looking great in there as well. Thankfully, after all of that, it will be sorted. I can definitely recommend those Terra Firma front discs. The calipers are working perfectly, and the Delphi pads are working perfectly in the front as well, and have a nice bite to them, along with that TRW actual master cylinder as well. There is a nice bite there. It is just the screech that is a bit boring, and hopefully I'll be sorting that very soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, again, it wasn't an install sort of follow how to. It was just an insight of how we did it, how it sort of went, which options we went for, and the struggles and sort of triumphs along the way. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.